Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the sheer, unpredictable, and entirely relatable chaos of a typical Indian middle-class household. We're drawing our insights straight from the incredibly funny and, frankly, a little traumatizing Hard Toons animated story. We're going to break down this family dynamic almost like a nature documentary survival guide. We'll map out the key players, the daily crises, and the absolute absurdity of everyday life in a home where peace and quiet literally do not exist. So buckle up because we are unpacking the mechanics of a truly chaotic family. You know how it is. You wake up and bam, immediate logistical crisis. Do I use the bathroom first or do I eat breakfast? Now, this isn't just some fleeting morning thought. It's a deep philosophical brain fog. The mental load of managing these two basic human functions is so overwhelmingly paralyzing that our protagonist actually contemplates hiring a professional manager just to schedule his bodily needs. It's a hilarious, deadpan illustration of just how overwhelming a single day is about to be. Okay, let's dive right into this. The second, and I mean the literal millisecond you sit down to just compile a mental grocery list, enter our first major household antagonist, Mom. Mom has a strict, absolute zero-tolerance policy for relaxation. The second she spots him sitting down, she hits him with the classic guilt trip, wondering out loud if she completely wasted 9 months of her life bringing such a useless child into the world. Her philosophy is painfully simple. If you are breathing, you should be working. Which, naturally, brings us to the chores. His mom happens to be a tailor, and our protagonist is tasked with dual responsibilities. He needs to deliver a newly stitched blouse to Pooja Auntie and feed a fresh roti to the local cow. Now watch his brain entirely short-circuit. He hands the fresh roti to Pooja Auntie and tosses the custom-stitched blouse straight to the cow. The aftermath? Spectacular. Pooja Auntie calls up highly confused, complaining that her roti is exceptionally crispy, while Mom goes into full-blown meltdown mode over the missing blouse. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it introduces Dad's totally unique approach to crisis management. You'd think a father's very first instinct during an emergency would be concern, right? Nope. Our protagonist gets into a road accident and is literally crushed under a vehicle. Dad arrives at the scene, and instead of, checking for broken bones, he immediately delivers poorly timed driving instructions. He sarcastically asks if releasing the clutch so fast means his son is trying to become a pilot. And the absurdity just escalates from there. Dad completely refuses to be helpful. A hospital visit? Out of the question. Instead, he leans heavily into this absurdist hyperbole, threatening to bypass medical care entirely and take his injured son straight to a tattoo artist to ink the word pilot right onto his arm. It is an absolute masterclass in middle-class fatherly sarcasm, prioritizing a lifetime lesson in clutch control over immediate bleeding medical attention.
But wait, suddenly Dad pivots. He goes from complaining about a ruined tiffin box and his boss cutting his salary to the urgent need for alternative revenue streams. This brings us to a rather abrupt financial interlude. The magic number? 840. That is the exact minimum deposit in rupees required to launch the family's frantic last-ditch side hustle.
Let's quickly review this strategy, shall we? To survive the daily disasters and these looming salary cuts, they turn to trading on Bonomo. It's basically pitched as their ultimate survival kit. You've got super easy registration from any device, you just forecast whether a graph goes up or down, and you can earn VIP gifts to boost profits. It even boasts 24/7 customer support and anytime withdrawals. I mean, it's a chaotic, somewhat desperate bid to generate extra income while the house practically burns down around them, but hey, it's a plan. All right, with finances temporarily addressed, we pivot right back to the absolute trenches of domestic life, the bathroom. Our protagonist steps in for a shower only to be confronted by a universal household mystery. There is a single, unidentified hair firmly stuck to the bar of soap, requiring forensic-level scraping just to remove it. And you know what the most baffling part is? When interrogated, absolutely no one in the family claims it. It is a biological anomaly that belongs to no one, yet plagues everyone. And this brilliantly illustrates just how quickly things go from bad to worse. Right when you think the bathroom ordeal is finally over, disaster strikes. His absolute last pair of dry underwear slips from its hook and plunges directly into a full bucket of water. It's not just an accident, it's described as a deliberate suicide by the garment. The result? Pure, agonizing, humid torture. He is forced to endure wearing a soaking wet pair of underwear that his mother hastily tried to iron. Just imagine the discomfort. It's horrible. Moving out to the living room, we encounter another major existential threat, visiting relatives. Their sole purpose in life is to occupy space and demand tea. But our protagonist, he has developed a genius defense mechanism. Consider this an expert survival tip, guys. Step 1. When asked to make tea, dutifully accept the mission. Step 2. Deliberately brew the most atrocious, undrinkable liquid mathematically possible. Step 3. Enjoy your newfound freedom. Because once they taste that absolute disaster, you will never, ever be asked to make tea again. Weaponized incompetence at its finest. But here's the catch. Defeating the relatives with bad tea leaves a massive void in the conversation, and Mom knows exactly how to fill it. When she runs out of small talk, her default strategy is utter, merciless humiliation. She enthusiastically overshares the protagonist's highly sensitive medical history, specifically focusing on his severe childhood constipation. To her, it's prime entertainment. To him, it is total social annihilation in front of guests who, by the way, are still gagging on that terrible tea. As if that isn't enough, we are then introduced to cousin Chiku. Chiku is running his own highly annoying hustle, acting like an aggressive door-to-door salesman right in the middle of the living room. He charges 500 rupees for a quote-unquote course, and then has the sheer audacity to demand another 500 rupees for a tablet. And the kicker? The grand selling point of dropping 1,000 rupees on this kid is simply that you can play Subway Surfers on the tablet all day. It's relentless, inescapable family networking. Let's move on and see how the chaos builds even further, because we haven't even met the final antagonist yet. Dadi, the grandmother. Dadi spends her days doing seva, or service, at the local ashram, and every single day she brings home a patasha, a sugary sweet drop that absolutely no one in the family actually likes. So, what does a resourceful middle-class family do? They start a secret smuggling ring. They hoard these unwanted sugar drops in a sack all month long and then quietly sell the bulk stash right back to the ashram. Pure genius. This whole smuggling operation, combined with Dadi's midnight cleaning habits, inevitably leads to the ultimate climax of our story, the Cold War standoff between Mom and Dadi. Let's look at the tactical breakdown here. It's almost like a wrestling match. In one corner, you've got Mom. Her weapon of choice, flying dough. Her strategy, a devastating cooking strike. In the other corner, Dadi, backed by her smuggled patashas, demanding household seva while completely refusing to lift a finger herself. They both retreat to their corners, and the entire household's operations come to a grinding halt. So, the crucial point is how this epic, disastrous standoff resolves. Dad finally returns home from a long, exhausting day at work. What does he find? The kitchen is closed, Mom is crying, Dadi is packing her bags for the ashram, and literally everyone is starving. Naturally, he demands to know what happened, and in a magnificent, totally unfair twist of fate, 99% of the blame is instantly and inexplicably pinned on our completely innocent protagonist. He didn't start the fight, he didn't throw the dough, but somehow he is the sole reason the family is falling apart. And that right there perfectly encapsulates the glorious, completely inescapable trap of the great Indian middle-class family. Dadi ends the story by making a highly dramatic exit for the ashram, but not before launching an absurd call to action. She demands the viewer join the Laudli Video Yojana, a totally fictional scheme to take this very story and forcefully show it in every single household across the country. It leaves us all wondering, how many of these chaotic dynamics play out in your own home every morning? Thank you so much for exploring this hilarious breakdown with me today. Keep surviving out there.